So, I'm telling you all this because I'm hoping that maybe I can help someone else not make that same mistake. Don't let some small grain of bitterness ruin things for you, or not ruin, or don't let it make a decision for you when really the other factors outweigh that by so much. Really examine why you want to go when you decide not to recontract on Jet. And really examine whether or not that's a current thought or, like me, something that you had already made up your mind to do and haven't reevaluated properly, even though it's changed. So anyway, on to graduation. I'm sorry if this is getting long. Anyway, so like I said, I really, really loved my job when I came to Japan, and I really loved my students, and I came to love my coworkers so much, and it was just, and you're all gonna think she's crazy for not having recontracted, but it was pretty close to ideal. Honestly, as far as a work situation goes. I had a great supervisor who spoke English well. I had some people at school who spoke English well. I had JTEs, Japanese English teachers, who, for the most part, were open to things I wanted to do, and they had all different teaching styles and stuff, but, they were happy to have me there. So, and I had a good number of schools, and I loved those kids. I really, really loved those kids. And I still do. And, the relationship with the students, for me, has always been the thing that has been most important. And I've had some great relationships with staff, too. But even when you're not getting along well with one member of the staff or another, the relationship with the students can make up for it. I think if you really love those students, then you're here for the right reasons. Because that's, what it's all about, if you can make a difference in their lives, or an impact of some kind in their lives. I hope that they'll remember me. I think that they'll remember me. And I hope they know how much I love them. So, at the beginning it was difficult to really connect with them, and I didn't know how to connect with them. I didn't know, should I speak English? Should I speak Japanese? How should I reach out to them? And it wasn't so much any specific thing that I did, although the decision to start using some Japanese in schools honestly helped me, because I think it helped them relax. But yeah, with those students, those first year students, my first year here, there really is a deep bond. And I cared about the third-year students my first year and the third-year students my second year, and the kids who'd already been at the school for a while. I cared about them a lot. And when they graduated, I was sad, and I cried a little bit. But if you stay for 3 years, it's different, the relationship you have with those kids. And I can't speak to if you stay in the same school for 3 years, to my great sorrow. But I did continue to have a relationship with those kids. I wasn't the same as seeing them every day or every week. But I went to their school events where I could, like Sports Day or the Culture Festival, and I met them in Izumo City, and I saw them at events where I was drumming for Taiko, and I kept in contact. So when I was invited back to go to the graduation ceremonies, going to them was really important to me. Really, really important to me. Because I've known them for such a long time now, it feels like. And they're such good kids. Even when they're not. And just graduation in Japan, junior high school graduation, it's a tearjerker. They design it that way. It's very solemn, and the ceremony is very prescribed, but it's like that so that you'll get sad. And it's normal to cry. And it often, it's very, very sad, and they get, the remaining students, the representative gives a speech to the graduates, and the graduates give a speech to the remaining students, and the PTA president and the school principal gives a speech, and they all sing sad songs about saying goodbye. And, because most of them have been together forever. They may have come from different elementary schools, but the ones who've been together since, kindergarten have been together since kindergarten. They've all been to the same schools and the same classes, and now they're all going their separate ways to high school. And it's sad. And, as a teacher, it's sad because you've built this relationship with them and now you won't see them every day anymore. And if if you're someone who really cares about your students, that's hard. But also really wonderful. So, for me, what the JET program has meant to me and what being a teacher has meant to me, I've just really now come to realize. I have loved those kids with all of my heart. And even when I didn't know how to express it, and I didn't know how to talk to them, I loved watching them. Watching them grow, watching them get or not get English. Just seeing the wonderful, natural looks on their faces of, when they got something right, or... I don't have kids. I don't know what it's like to have kids, but I think now, watching them grow for 3 years and having been a teacher, I have an inkling. And so graduation was really, really difficult for me. I did not expect how difficult returning to those schools for graduation would be. Because I knew I'd be sad. I knew I'd be happy to see them again, but I did not expect the vividness of how things came back to me. I cried a lot. Especially, I went to the larger school's graduation first, and I was just so primed to cry the entire time because my own feelings were just coming back so intensely. The regret and the sadness of not being there with them anymore, and all the happy and sad memories from last year and before with them, and saying goodbye to them, and meeting them, and doing all sorts of things with them. And so when the time, came to cry, when they made the sad speeches, I was more than ready to cry. But to be honest, the most crying I did was, I had to leave a little early because I promised my new students here that I would come back for the third-year send-off party. And so I couldn't stay to the end of all the activities. I was there for the ceremony, I was there for their last homeroom afterwards, but I couldn't stay to the seeing them off, when they all leave the school for the last time. And I didn't want to go. I really didn't want to go. And I went out to my car, and everything I felt last summer came back. And I just bawled. But in a way, it was very cathartic. I think I feel better now. It's like all those feelings that I still had, but I just put aside because there was nothing I could do about them, and holding on to them wasn't doing me any good. It just came back, and it came out, and I think I feel better now. And the second day I went to my smallest school ever was graduation, and honestly, the kids that I felt the closest to, I cried a lot there too, but it wasn't as remorseful, it wasn't as painful, it was just sad. They're moving on. It won't be easy for me to see them anymore. And they've been such good kids. And such sweet kids. And I miss them. I mean, obviously I miss them already, but I'll continue to miss them. And their underclassmen. And honestly, I did not get time to tell them that I was coming until pretty much the day before. The other school had invited me to be one of the honored guests, but on this one I was just coming of my own prerogative. So I really don't know how they knew or when they had time, but one of the students' mothers is a friend of mine from one of the other schools I worked at, and so she, invited me, and I went and stood in our last homeroom class with her, and afterwards, they all gave flowers to their teachers, and her son, one of the boys, turned around and gave one of them to me. And so, of course, I'm already like, and then the student I was probably closest to in the class, the one who I think liked me the best too, she came up to me and she gave me this, which is just a message from all of them. They each wrote a message. Some of them wrote in English, some of them wrote in Japanese, thanking me. This is their graduation, and they made this for me. And that's what this is all about. So, to answer a question about some people who are wondering whether or not they should apply to the program, or, people who have applied, and if you are waiting to get your placement or find out if you got in or not, and if you get your placement and think, oh wow, that's really, I don't know if I can do this for some reason, for whatever reason, is it worth it? Absolutely. It has been one of the most difficult things I have ever done in my life, moving to Japan and become a teacher. Moving to Japan has also been one of the things that's brought me the most joy and touched my heart in ways that I could never have expected. And I think that these relationships, these experiences will stay with me for a lifetime. So, maybe a lot of this kind of sounded negative, and I'm really sorry about that. That's not the way I meant it. But if building a relationship and having people from another country touch your life in profound and unexpected ways, and I guarantee if you live in another country, Japan or anywhere else, that will happen if you're open to it. If that sounds appealing to you at all, come on a program like JET. Come on, JET. Regardless of whether or not it's how you expected it to be or what you thought you wanted. They know what they're doing more than you think. And, take it from me. I learned the hard way. You know, I thought it was not what I wanted, but I think that in the end, I've gotten 95% of the things that I wanted. The big things, the important things, the things that I feel here. Not, you know, circumstantial things, not material things necessarily, although I've gotten a lot of that too. But in the emotional worth and growth, yeah. It has really made me grow up as a person. So that's what Jet has meant to me. It's meant a lot of heartbreak, a lot of difficult things, a lot of hard work. But it's also meant an incredible 3 years knowing these kids and getting to know them and caring about them. And hopefully making a place for my, you know, myself, my memory in their lives. And, you know, that is something. So, anyway, that was kind of long and possibly depressing, and I'm sorry if it was, but it was all very real, and it was about, I think, stuff that I think is really important. And like I said, I hope that I can help some future person, you know, cope or whatever, have a better time. And it's also, you know, my legacy for myself. So I'm telling you now, camera and internet audience, that is how I've felt, but it's been worth it. So goodbye everybody, and I'll see you in the next, hopefully happier or more positive and uplifting Super Inaka vlog. Peace out. Love my little gestures. Huzzah!